Greetings, beautiful earthlings. My name is Star. If you are new here, I don't know how you found me, but I'm super grateful to have you. And if you are returning, y'all the real MVP, you already know. So today, my friends, I decided to make something called Star's Cozy Corner. And what I want to do here is kind of get back to the original feel of my channel. For any of you guys who have been with me since the very beginning, you remember I used to not wear makeup, didn't really care much for what I looked like. I used to drink coffee in the morning and I just kind of sit there and talk about tarot. And it used to be a good time, and then some of my videos started getting bigger and I started getting more of a following, and I was like, man, I really got to clean up my look a little bit and be professional, right? But I found my old chair. This is the chair that I used to shoot videos in, and it's like a rocking chair, and it's super cozy. And I did put it in the corner of my wall, and for some reason I was like, let's do a video. Let's do a good old video, okay? So grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab whatever it is you're drinking, and hang out with me for a little bit. And what we're going to talk about here today is just the decks that I'm bonding with currently and why I felt the need to bond with them. And I don't know, just what I wanted to talk about today. I didn't feel like getting ready. I didn't feel like being glammed. I just wanted to be comfy cozy in my robe, in my chair, and just be a little unstructured today. So I hope that that's fine for some of you guys that are brand new here and you are used to glammed up Star. Sometimes I don't want to be glammed up and I just want to talk about tarot. Like, it happens, and it happens quite a lot actually. So if you guys aren't following me over on TikTok, that's a fun place to do that. I mean, you'll pretty much see me for who I am over on TikTok, and I thought this would be fun today. So I don't know if it's going to be a thing. I don't know if we're ever going to do more of these. I would like to do this on the couch in my living room, but there's so much construction constantly across the street. It just wouldn't work with the noise. So we're going to do my comfy cozy corner here today. So go ahead, guys, grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab whatever you're drinking. Take a drink with me, friends. I'm so excited. I have the luxury of being able to mute the audio now, because if you guys remember, I used to be like, sorry for your ears, and now you can really hear it. And that's why I stopped drinking coffee on camera in the mornings, because I have a mic now. But we're moving swiftly along in the whole video making process. I've learned to edit and I've learned to mute audio and things, and it's a lot of fun. So I hope you guys hang around here with me today, and let me know if you guys actually stick around. But I have 3 decks here on my avocado box shelf and these are the decks that I'm currently bonding with. So I did tell you guys in one of my last videos, either the last one or the one before that, I'm constantly in a state of bonding with a deck or multiple decks, because as you guys know, I have about 50 decks now, and I like to keep bonding with them and kind of keep them on rotation and just constantly be shuffling through them, doing readings with them, what have you, because it really helps with keeping the energy fresh and keeping that connection alive, especially when you have multiple tarot decks. They do just kind of sit there, be it on your shelf, or in my case in the drawer. They do just kind of sit there, and to me it seems a little bit wild to just expect that you're going to pick up that tarot deck and it's going to read for you the way you want it to read for you in that moment, when you haven't spent time with it in a while and it's still harboring your old energy from the last time that you read with it. Whether you cleanse your decks or not, whether you use selenite in the bags or not, I do personally believe they kind of hold on to the energy of the last time that you interacted with them. So usually I try to bond with my decks when I'm in a good state of mind, in a good mood. When I'm not in a good mood, I don't pick up my decks. And that's something I did say quite a while ago. I don't recommend to ever bond with your decks when you're in a bad mood, especially if you're really emotional, because your decks do absorb that energy and they'll give it right back to you. So I think that a lot of beginners don't realize that, and they will usually you know, if they're sad or upset or stressed out, they'll turn to their tarot deck and like ask questions and ask advice, or, you know, try to spy on that other person. And what you don't realize in that moment is that your deck is giving you your energy right back in that reading. So you're not going to get a clear reading. You're not going to get really good advice. And that's why a lot of people will be like, man, this deck is so chaotic, or this deck just doesn't make any sense when it gives readings and things like that. And I like to tell people all the time, like, when are you handling your deck? Because you can't, you know, be heartbroken about, you know, so and so leaving you, and then picking up your deck and asking your deck what he's doing. Why did he leave me? Why did he say this? You know, you're literally putting that into your deck, and your deck's not going to tell you anything about that other person. They're going to tell you about you, because that's what your tarot deck is for. That's what reading tarot is for, essentially. So I did see this on TikTok earlier too, where somebody had said, you know, a lot of people try to use tarot to spy, and they don't realize your tarot deck is giving you advice about you in that moment, and you think it's about that other person, and people come to all kinds of wacky conclusions doing that. And I'm sure I've said it in a video before, because I feel very strongly about using tarot to spy, and I've always had this kind of moral code where I do not ever do readings about somebody without their permission. Like, if someone tells me I'd rather you didn't, I just won't. And if I feel like I have to ask them, and if I feel like they're gonna say no, I know that I don't need to do that reading, because I know that, you know, tarot is for me to figure out what I need to do and what I need to fix and what I need to work on. And it's, you know, advice for me going forward in the future and building a relationship with not only my deck, but my guides. So all of that being said, I just kind of wanted to give that little explanation, because I don't, even though I'm always in a state of bonding with my decks, I still don't pick them up if I know I'm having a bad day. If I know I'm overly stressed, if I'm irritated or mad, or, you know, even just sad, depressed, whatever, I will not pick up my decks. If that deck is under my pillow or on my desk or something, I will put it away so that it's not being exposed to that type of energy. But take that as you will. Take that with a grain of salt. You know, believe what you want to believe about how your tarot decks absorb energy. Because if you believe that, you know, keeping your deck on your windowsill with a stick of selenite is going to keep it cleansed, even if you're being chaotic in the room, you know, that's what you believe, and that's what your deck is going to reciprocate, in a sense. So, you know, take what I say with a grain of salt, as always, because this is just my personal experience. These are my personal opinions. This is my personal view of doing tarot. Everybody has a different view of doing tarot. Everybody has different ways of reading, and everybody has different ways of bonding with their decks, right? It's very, very important to note that. That being said, I'm gonna grab some coffee before I start talking about this. There we go. I hit the bottom. I knew I was gonna hit the bottom. Okay. So the first deck I've been bonding with, I am constantly bonding with, because I am still trying to learn to read with it. So I did say this in a previous video. You guys should already know I am bonding with my little tiny talk tarot, and it is the cutest little thing. And I just love shuffling through it because it's so cute and tiny. Let's see if you guys can see it. So cute. I love shuffling with it. It's one of those decks where if I'm in a good mood and I just want to shuffle a deck, that's what I'll do, because it's so cute. And it just feels so good in my hands because it's so tiny. And I got a text message. But this deck has crystals in it, and this is one of the very few decks that I put crystals with. I put selenite in all of my decks, or satin spar, I guess, and the only decks that have anything other than satin spar is the Cosmic Slumber, which has blue kyanite, and the Starman, which has black kyanite, because kyanite is also a self-cleansing stone like selenite, so it doesn't require me cleansing it, and it's going to keep up the vibration of that deck. This one, I actually have rose quartz and labradorite in this little bag. This rose quartz is what came with this deck. I don't know if you guys are aware, this was kind of an older video where I had been sent this Thoth Tarot from like a giveaway, and the shop owner that sent it to me put this little rose quartz crystal in there, and I love that. For some reason, I didn't want to take it out. I didn't want to mess with it. I just wanted to leave it with this deck. I know quartz isn't technically a cleansing stone. I don't believe too much that you need to cleanse your stones. I believe you need to feed them. I don't believe you need to cleanse them. But sometimes you'll feel it if they do need to be cleansed. So, you know, there's that. But also I put Labradorite in here because this is my tiny little lab tumble that my friend Heidi sent me. And I love it so much. And I feel so connected to Labradorite. It's a very protective stone. It's, you know, one of those stones that helps open your intuition as well, and, you know, connect you with your higher realms and whatnot. So I felt like it just fit with this deck because of the energy of this deck. I just felt like it needed something other than the rose quartz because, you know, the rose quartz to me was a gift from the person who sent it, not necessarily a compliment to the deck, right? But I do feel like the lab was a compliment to the deck, so that's why that's in there. And I do shuffle through this deck and work with this deck when I'm feeling, I don't want to say feisty, but when I'm feeling like I could use a feisty reading. Sometimes you just kind of need that, especially if you guys have like best friends that are, I hope you guys aren't getting that microphone feedback. I just realized that's pretty far down my robe. But if you guys have a best friend that's kind of snappy or feisty and they give you like really blunt advice, that's what my Thoth Tarot reminds me of. So sometimes I just feel like I need something that's not so, you know, sugar and spice. I need something that's just spice. So that's why I love constantly bonding with that deck. That deck is always out. Always, again, if I'm not in a good mood, if I know that the vibes aren't good, the vibes aren't right in my room, in my house, I put it away. I don't want it to absorb that. I do keep all of the decks in bags, and the bags are in a drawer, as you guys saw recently. But my next deck that I'm bonding with is one that I actually do not like. I feel so bad saying this because well, to be fair, I don't think that girl's watching anymore, the person who made the deck. But I had really high hopes for this deck, and the more I worked with it, the less I liked it. And I did not have good things to say about this deck after, you know, a couple days, couple weeks of bonding with it. And I really wanted to tell you guys, but I didn't want it to come off as slander. Especially because it's an indie deck from an indie company. I don't want to ever slander any indie companies. I know they work their little booties off, and I know tons of people resonate with this deck very well. So, you know, my opinion on the deck doesn't really matter too much. But what I have a deity now, a new deity that came forth, and we've been kind of getting to know each other over the past couple of months. I don't talk about them. I'm not going to talk about them, but this deity wanted me to work with this deck. Literally because I made a video where I was talking about how much I disliked this deck, and, you know, I wasn't going to name the deck, but I was kind of ripping into it a little bit, and that deity was like, go get that deck. And I was like, what are you talking? And they were like, go get that deck, we're going to bond with it, because there's no reason you should feel that way about a deck, and you need to learn the strengths of that deck before you kind of chalk it up to being a bad deck. I just feel like you haven't worked with it enough, so that's going to be my deck, and you're going to have to work with that deck. So the deck that I'm talking about here is the Territorial Deck. Again, like I said, I'm not going to say bad things about this deck. I don't want to slander the company, the deck, anything. But this deck was one of those decks that was made for like neurodivergent people or people with autism because of, you know, the words. So people who can't grasp the pictures, the imagery, using your intuition, things like that. It's, you know, kind of like a study aid. And that really bothered me a lot because I'm someone who learned the imagery. So to have reading on a tarot deck, especially so much reading, really bothered me. And that's why I never really bonded with it. And when I would get cards in a reading, I would look at the I would look at the card, like the name, and just kind of put it back. I wouldn't even bother reading it, and I didn't even realize I was doing that. And this deity gave me a whole lot of heat from this deck, and I realized very quickly the messages on this deck are pretty damn good. They're like divination messages. They're like advice messages. The thing that just kind of throws me off in the reading is the whole this top part here is a description of the Rider-Waite imagery. So you got to kind of skip that, and then if you get it reversed, you don't know what it is. It doesn't say the card name up here either. So you have to stop and kind of pull yourself out of reading and look at what the card is and think about what the card looks like and things like that. And it just kind of took me out of the reading too much. But when I started bonding with this deck as a deity deck, as messages from a deity, instead of using or trying to use my intuition and work around the imagery as I normally would in a reading, this one is very, very specific. Very specific, very blunt little messages. So let's take a look at the card I just pulled here. This is the Queen of Swords, if you can't tell, and I just opened it up, the Queen of Swords in reverse, and you can see there's your keywords up there: cold-hearted, cruel, bitter, resentful, and isolation. But the messages that come with each position of the cards are actually what I'm really vibing with at the moment. So reversed, it says, your emotions are running wild, so start thinking more objectively. Look at the facts before making rash judgments. Don't worry about upsetting others. Follow your heart and do what you want to do. Everyone else will get over it, and if they don't, oh well. And I didn't even realize that these are so like quirky. They're so like good. These little messages are so good. And it was just super unfair of me to be like, there's too much reading, I don't want to do that, it's not a good deck. Because it's not a bad deck, it's just not a deck I personally vibed with right off the bat. And this is also why I like going back and continuously bonding with decks that I have not bonded with in a while. Because I will sit here and kind of look at a deck and be like, I haven't bonded with that one, and I will literally hear myself say things like, I don't want to bond with that one, I don't like the cardstock, or I don't want to shuffle through it, or I don't really, I'm not connected to it, things like that. And I've started pushing myself a little bit out of that box, where if I hear myself saying things like that, I'll be like, okay, grab that deck. Kudos to this deity for that little message that just popped out. That was perfect timing. I'll give you that one. That was very that worked very well. But that's also very helpful advice that you should be bonding with the deck you don't feel bonded to. Not to say that goes for everybody, right? That's for me personally, because I have 50 decks and I kind of got to bond with them, right? I don't feel right giving somebody my deck that I have used so much. Like if it's a deck that I flipped through once for a review and I never touched it again, that I would feel okay giving away, because it doesn't have any of my energy, I didn't bond with it, I didn't connect to it, I didn't read with it, things like that. But if it's something I've shuffled through a lot, I've tried to read with, I've tried to bond with, and I really put a lot of myself in that deck, I don't feel right giving that to somebody, because I don't feel right basically having somebody have a piece of me in their home. Not to say I wouldn't use a used deck. I feel like it'd be a lot of fun to work with secondhand decks. I just never have. I have one secondhand deck. That's the Whispers of Love. That was a hard one. That's a hard one to work with. What was I saying? So I think what I was getting at here is I did kind of also get this idea from a TikTok a while back that someone had said, whichever crystal you have in your collection that you don't like is the crystal you need to be working with, because you probably don't like it because it reflects a part of you that you need to work on. So I've been kind of trying to put that idea in a lot of things that I do. Like if it's something you don't like, you should probably push through it. There's a reason. And that even used to apply back in the day when I was in school. Whatever teacher I didn't like and I didn't get along with ended up being the teacher that taught me the most and the one that I liked the most. So, that's just me personally. I'm not saying that's how anyone needs to think or, bond with your decks for that matter. But that's why I'm bonding with that deck currently, because that is now a deity deck, and that's a deck I now have to use a lot of. And that those little messages go great with that deity and the way that deity communicates, and it's kind of made for that deity. So I'm really glad that I have it. I'm glad that I took the plunge on getting that deck. Many a times I have kind of like regretted it, and I'm like, what do I even do with this deck? It was like a impulse buy for a review, and I just don't know what to do with this deck. But now I know why that deck is here. And the last one that I'm bonding with right now, I'm only bonding with 3. I try not to bond with too many at a time. Usually I'll bond with maybe 2, but I decided to throw my little Toth in there because it is kind of on a constant rotation right now. It has been for a while. But the last one that I'm bonding with is my mystical Medleys. So you guys know this is the newest one that I just got from Liminal 11 recently, as well as the Seed and Sickle. But again, I have to dedicate extensive amount of time to the Seed and Sickle and learning to work with that one. So I haven't even started bonding with it yet. I don't want to mess with it until I have the motivation to invest in that deck. And I feel like it's coming up because I see the posts about it and I love it. I love the artwork. I really want to learn how to work with it for you guys, to help, to explain it a little bit. But holy cow, I'm just so happy to have this one. Like, this is one that I've waited for almost a year for, from hearing the preliminary announcement of this deck and just watching all of these teasers for months and months and months and months. I can't get enough of this deck, of this imagery. It's just amazing. I'm actually really glad that they didn't gloss this one. I had kind of reservations about a lot of these decks being matte, but I do think it works in the instance of the Mystical Medleys and the Luna Soul. I do really love the matte on those ones. I feel like the new chapter should have been glossed, but it's also kind of give and take on that one because of the size. So I feel like, they probably made the best choice there and I'm just being picky. But I think the matte helps a lot on this one. I don't know why it does fit really well on this. I can't imagine this one being glossed, but I don't think it would hurt if it was. It would be kind of like a Modern Witch type of thing where it's just gonna be so big. I know it in my bones that this deck is gonna be so big. It's just so good and so many people love it and so many people vibe with it, and just that early Mickey days, that Betty Boop type of style. It's just so good. It's so cute and it's so fun to read with. It's such a breath of fresh air compared to reading with things like the Toth and the Rider-Waite-Smith. They're so structured and so archaic that when you bring in something that's so new and cute and just new-aged and colorful and bright and exciting, it's a lot of fun. And I think that that's one of the most exciting things about this little niche subject that I have decided to make videos on, be it reviewing tarot or teaching tarot. I get to see all decks on every side of the spectrum and everywhere in between, and I love it. I love it so much to be able to experience all of these different decks and to have the beautiful opportunity to really have so many decks in my hands, to learn to work with them, to just have the time to spend with them, and to just get to experience so many of them, because this is I'm sure some older gatekeepy tarot readers don't like this deck, right? They're very, you need to read with the Rider-Waite-Smith, or you need to read with the Toth. There is no other deck than the Toth. I can imagine I can imagine there are some gatekeeper tarot readers that do think like that, and I know that because I've seen it in tarot groups, tarot Facebook groups. There's a lot of gatekeeping that goes on when people show pip decks like this, where they're just quirky. Things like the pagan cats, or the tarot of cats, or the, there's dog tarots. I'm sure there's probably like a penguin tarot, or things like octopus tarots. I saw an octopus tarot recently. There's mermaid tarots, and fairy tarots, and unicorn tarots, and there's just so many crazy things that I can't imagine, like Arthur Edward Waite and Aleister Crowley would have ever imagined that this is the direction that tarot took in the 21st century. It's funny, but it's a lot of fun. So I think that's all I've got to say. I just wanted to show you guys, like, I'm on constant rotation with my decks. I don't know which one's going to be next, honestly. I don't know. It's really hard for me to kind of decide when I feel like I've created a good bond with the deck. I feel like I don't have to bond as much with the Territorial, because that's something I'm using now for deity work, deity communication. So it's just kind of there for messages. It's not like I have to overtly bond with it for myself for readings like this one, like the Mystical Medleys. This is just for my own pleasure, my own reading pleasure. So this one I am going to be bonding with for a good time. But the other ones that I have been kind of rotating between lately are the New Chapter and the Lunasol. I'm trying to do a lot of bonding with my Liminal 11 decks, because I get them and I review them, and then like the first ones, I love those so much. I use those all the time, right? And I realize like the newer ones I don't use as much. I look at them and I review them and I do my videos with them, and then I don't use them as much because I have other decks that I'm more bonded with. And I'm kind of getting to that point with all of my newer decks. I realize, not just the Liminal 11 decks, like all of my newer decks, like I just get to a point where I'm like, I have decks that I'm more bonded with. It would be easier for me to grab one of those older ones, or one of the ones I'm more comfortable with already, than to try to sit here and bond with this deck to use it. And sometimes I just don't have the extra energy to put into that deck at the time. But there are times like right now where I'm in a good headspace and I'm, feeling good, and I'm on a kick where I've been feeling good for quite a few days, and I'm like, okay, I should bond with some decks while I'm in a good mood, while I feel good, while my energy's good, my vibe is right. I've got fresh, clean protections and offerings and everything, and it's just like the vibes are right. I should bond with some decks. So I don't want to say I hope this helps. I don't think it helps. I don't think it had anything to do with anything. I just kind of wanted to have a laid back video and talk to you guys about what I do with my tarot decks on the days when I'm not glammed up in reviewing, because at the end of the day, I am a person and I am left with 50 decks from all of these reviews, and I have to use them. I have to bond with them. I have to read with them. I have to utilize them. And the fun thing about having to constantly rebond with all of these decks is that I get to rediscover them all the time. Like even decks that I've had for a long time, like the Starman and the Modern Witch. Those are older decks of mine, and it's just nice to pull those out every once in a while and kind of rekindle a flame with an old friend. And then I get to, really spend time with the deck and look at the deck through new eyes, through new emotions, and add to the layers of the energy in that deck, and it's just nice. So I would go so far as to give you guys a tiny piece of advice and say that if you have a deck that you haven't bonded with in a while and you didn't vibe with it at first, maybe try it again. Maybe give it a good cleanse, stick it on your windowsill with some selenite on top of it, leave it there for a couple days, let it charge really well in the sun, in the moon. It doesn't matter. You don't have to take it out. You can leave it in the sun and moon, because why not? But give it a good cleanse, give it a good charge, and then try again, but try it again in a better mood. And don't pester your decks with stupid questions. I can't stress that enough. Please don't pester your decks with stupid questions. And I've tried not to say that on my channel. I've been very careful not to say that in the past year on my channel, building a bit of a following here. But it's getting to the point now where I'm like, I see this so much, where people ask their decks, why did he leave me? Why isn't he coming back? Is he seeing someone else? Is he cheating on me? Stop it. Leave your poor deck alone. Stop putting that energy into your deck. I've gotten literally cussed out of multiple tarot groups for telling people that. For being like, leave your poor deck alone. Give it a good cleanse. Give it a good charge. Leave it alone. Go eat some ice cream and cry about it and leave your deck out of it. Because your deck's not going to tell you if he's seeing someone else, sweetheart. If you don't have their permission to read about them, you're not even getting information about them. You're not. Your deck's giving you information about you, and chances are you're reading it wrong because you're trying to read it about them. It's just a mess, and you're putting that energy into your deck and you're making a mess out of your deck. Stop it. So that's what I got for you today, friends. I don't know what I did with my button. This has literally just turned into an old video of mine. I don't know what I did with my button. I think I dropped my button. But sometimes I like to just chill with you guys and just ramble and just not be cute on camera. So I hope that's okay with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this little casual video and, you know, enjoyed my presence for 30 minutes. And I just want to remind you guys that my link tree is in the description. You can follow me across all socials or any social of your choice. And, you know, my shop is down there as well if you want to check out any of my tarot bags or protective jewelries. You know, do what you want down there. If you made it to the end, please leave me a big ol' thumbs up. You know, that helps me out so very much, and it's a free way that you can support my channel. And let me know in the comments if you made it to the end. Let me know if you guys ever want to see more like this, or what else would you like to see in Star's Cozy Corner. I keep trying to say Corzy Corner. Corzy Corner. But let me know for realsies what else you would like to see in Star's Cozy Corner. More casual talks that are not structured teaching videos, because, you know, I want to expand my content a little bit, and I do want to get back to the vibe of my I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I'm thinking about it, but the vibe of my Learn the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot videos. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those. They're bad. They're real bad. But it was nice to just wake up every morning and, you know, grab my coffee and sit there and shoot a video every single morning about tarot, not worry what I looked like, not worry about, you know, how I was feeling, and just show up and talk about tarot. It was a great feeling. So that's kind of what I wanted to bring back, especially being at 1,000... it's like 700 or 800 subs now. I'm nearing 1.1, that's all I know. So it's just nice to remind you guys, like, I don't know what video you walked in on. I don't know what videos you like, but, you know, I've been doing this for a little bit of time, a little while. I don't want to say quite a while, because it's not true. It's only been a little over a year. And, you know, I do like making stuff a little outside of the box, a little outside of review videos. And a lot of people think that I just review tarot decks, and there's 50 review videos on my channel, and I have probably about 300 plus videos now, so that's definitely not all I do. I just like to talk about everything and anything tarot related under the tarot umbrella. So again, you guys, if you made it this far, let me know in the comments what you want to see in future videos. Ask me questions if you would like. You guys can always feel free to do that in any video, and I will try my best to respond to you personally. And if I feel like it's something that needs to be addressed in a video for a broader audience, I will also do that for you guys. And I just want to say thank you again so very much to all of my new subs, to all of my, you know, To all of my older viewers that are still hanging in there, I know a lot of people dropped off, and a lot of people recently have been like, you're still doing YouTube? Like, yeah, I'm still doing YouTube. So I hope that wherever you guys are, when this video reaches you, my friends, you have a beautiful, wonderful day, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Namaste.